this computer. Okay, sounds like it's all good. Okay, cool. So we have a little bit of bad weather in my location in New Hope. So my wife, Nicole, who's usually manning the chat side of things, is caught behind a roadblock. She's going to be here in about 15, 20 minutes. Help me out. But in the meantime, I'm just going to get going. So I noticed that we have some returning friends here and some new people. I see Irving, like looking cool, the tattoos in the hat, Irving. I see Oscar down in Colombia. Hey, Oscar. See Chris. Okay, we got a good crowd. Okay, so I'm just going to get right into it. So I'm going to send a link called rectangle test to the chat. Okay. So take a look at that link, blue rectangle test. Try to visit that. I should mention that this is the beginner session right now at 3 o'clock Eastern. And then we're going to do intermediate at 4 o'clock Eastern. So if you you start to think like maybe the 4 o'clock session's for you, you can tune back in then. Or if you just want to do both, you can do both. It's totally up to you. Okay. So I want you to go ahead and try the link, and everyone let me know if you're able to successfully go to the link. Okay, Chris says it's working. Everyone else just give me a thumbs up or yes or something if it's working. Link works. Okay, cool. Link looks good, Javier says. Christine says it's good. Daniel said, okay, so it looks like it's good. Cool. So again, this is the beginner session here. And can everyone see my screen with the console.log stuff on it? Blue rectangle test. Let me know if you can't see my screen. Okay. So we're going to just play with some basic JavaScript here. And then next hour, we're going to get into making some complicated stuff. But both sessions are going to deal with manipulating the DOM with JavaScript. Okay. So first off, we're dealing with console. Well, first we have the concept of commented code. So if you're new to JavaScript, this is how we comment out a single line of code. We use 2 slashes. And line 3 here, any of these lines are just single commented out lines. So line 5 is our first executed line. So if I go over here and I run this code in the REPL environment, I'll see an 8 down there. That's because I said console.log 8. Okay. May admit Ugo to the chat. Okay. So once you have the thing working, you should be able to change the code in the REPL, and you'll just branch off of my REPL into your own version. Okay. And when you branch off into your own version, it'll save your personal changes, so you can come back here later and get your own stuff if you want. So I'm going to take a look. Let's do this. I'm going to take a look at my code here. I'm going to uncomment out line 6. What do we expect to happen when I uncomment out line 6? Send your guess to the chat. Oscar says hello. That sounds good, Oscar. Let's try it. And sure enough, we get hello down here. Okay, now I have 2 more lines. I've got uncomment here. Z equals 10 plus 2. Console.log z. Okay, so some simple review here. Yeah, Chris had the right answer there too. What do people think about this? Z equals 10 plus 2, console.log z. Leo says 12. Chris says 12. Looks good. Let's try it. Yep, we get 12. Okay. Let's try, this one's kind of a trick question. Z plus 100, console.log z. Okay, Leo says 112. Any other guesses? Habib says 12. Oscar says 12. Okay, we have a new guess. Let me let him in. Okay, so someone want to unmute themselves and explain? Well, first let's run it, and we get 12, not 112. Oh, Chris and Leela, not quite. It's 1, 2, not 1, 1, 2. So, question is, why is it 12 and not 112? Let me go unmute Oscar. Oscar, you want to explain why that's 12?
Yes, because
Oscar, I can't hear you.
yeah, because C is 10 plus 2, and in the
I'm
other
gonna try to change my sound. Maybe my sound's off here.
yeah, is because C is 12, 10 plus 2, and
Oscar, I still can't hear you.
oh,
No, maybe that's my fault.
okay, it looks good
Yeah.
to me here.
I don't know what's happening there. Oscar, try one more time.
Z equal, the value for C is 12. Then in the question is C plus 100 is still getting Z with the 12. It's not changing the value for the constant.
That's exactly right. And sorry about the sound. That's a problem on my end. Okay, so Oscar is right. The problem is that we never said Z equals. So down here, if we say Z equals Z plus Z, what do people expect there? Okay, Javier says 20. Let's give it a shot. 24. Okay, so why is it 24? Now it says 20. Okay. Again, sorry about the sound. That was my bad. So what happened there? Why is Z 24 in this case, line 12? Wants to give it a shot. Let's have Chris, you want to explain?
Sure. Am I muted?
You are, I can hear you. I can hear you.
So basically reassign Z to equal Z plus Z. And Z was 12, so it's going to be 12 plus 12 is the new value of Z.
So this is something you can do in JavaScript and most languages. You can reassign this, but it won't take effect until after this is evaluated. So we'll figure out Z plus Z, then we'll assign it to Z. So it's kind of we got a new Z that replaces the old Z. And Z was 12, so 12 plus 12 equals 24. Okay, let's do another one. Z equals hola, console.log, sorry, yo equals hola, and console.log yo plus Z. People want to send in their guesses? Hola 24, hola 24, let's give it a shot. Hola 24 is right. Hola 24 is right. So let's see. Okay. Fahim, you want to explain why that's hola 24? Fahim? No? So what's happening here is concatenation. It's adding together the string and the number as if it's a string. Okay? So JavaScript's a little funny. There are going to be some unexpected situations where it treats the numbers like it's a string. So next thing we're going to do is talk about the document variable. So document stands in for the document object model. Document object model is this neat thing here. So the document object model, I'm going to comment out some of this stuff. Sorry, guys, let me just comment out this stuff. So if you want to get the latest version of my changes, you can just open a new tab and put in that same URL again if you want to get updated changes from what I'm doing there. Okay, so I'm going to do that, then run, and sure enough, I have nothing on my page now. Okay, great. So document is a special variable that's going to let us access the page. So I can say something like, hey, get the document, console.log the document. So console.log is printing, and there we get the HTML document. So we can mess with this HTML document just like it's Z, just like it's, yo, like any other variable we would mess with before. This one's standing in for a special object that has special powers. Like what's kind of special powers? Well, we can say like, hey, look inside the document and get this element with the ID my page. So if you look over in the index HTML, we have 3 files here with HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So the HTML is the skeleton. That's deciding like what the page is made out of. Then the CSS is the style, and the JavaScript is the logic, like what happens. So here I have a body, it has the ID my page. So in the script.js, if I say, hey, go in the document, use this function, get element by ID. What ID? My page. Change the inner text to hi. When I run that, it'll say hi on the page. Okay? So this is kind of neat for a few reasons. One reason is that we can directly interact with anything on the page. 2 is we can do that using JavaScript. So JavaScript's really cool and useful because it's a programming language that exists in the browser. So we can do stuff like this where we change stuff on the page directly using JavaScript. Okay, so if you want, just give it a shot. Try changing hi to your own custom message, like hello class. Run it, get hello class here. Okay. Questions so far? Please send Nicole questions in the chat if you have any questions so far. Okay, no questions. I'm going to move on. So here I'm going to say page equals document.get element by ID, my page. Sorry, it's just doing automatic save there. Go back down. And then I say page.innerText equals hello world. So what do you think is going to happen when, oh, we lost Fahim, he's coming back. What's going to happen when I click run this time? Am I going to still get hello class, or am I going to get hello world? What do you guys think? Please answer in the chat. Chris says hello world. Other guesses? Daniel says it overrides it. Hello world, Javier. Okay, let's give it a shot. Yes, it's hello world. Okay, so let me unmute Javier. Javier, you want to explain what your reasoning is?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. You assigned the page variable, the document. So now by saying page.innerText hello world, that's what's going to display instead of line 26, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah, so we just use a variable here. We just add a variable, and the variable is going to like point to the elements in the page, my page, which is the body. And that element is the same element that we already wrote hello class on, but we're going to overwrite it, or they say override. It's really just overwriting. We're just saying like, hey, I know you wrote hello world there, or I know you wrote hello class, but I'm going to find it again, and I'm going to add that down there. What if I put, let's try this. Let's try plus here. Run that. What happened there? Why did that happen?
you concatenated hello class and hello world by using the plus equals sign.
Yeah, so what's plus equals to?
It adds to the previous state of the variable the current information or data.
Yeah, so if you said like x equals 7, x plus equals 1, x would now be 8, right? It's the same idea with text. We can say like, hey, take this text, add more text, save in the variable. It's like saying page.innerText equals the old text plus the new text, right? Okay, any questions on this part? If you have any questions, please direct message Nicole in the chat. I'm on her computer too, but we'll get to your question. Okay, so we can do this with words, and that's fine, but we can do a little bit more with this too. So let's take a look at some shapes. I'm gonna make rectangle 1 equals document.create element div. So what's a div? Who can explain what a div is to me? Please paste your definition of a div into the chat. HTML element, that's true. It's an HTML element. Let's go further. It's a container. Yeah, it's a division on the page, right? Div is short for division, okay? So this is as generic as it gets. It's not a headline, it's not a button. It's just like, hey, I'm part of the page. I'm just a box, you know? By default, I'm a rectangle. You can make it into other shapes though if you want. We'll get to that in a second. So let's talk about document.create element. How come document can get elements and create elements? Well, document is an object, okay? And sometimes objects will have functions inside of them. We call these methods. So these functions can do, in this case, are doing stuff to the page. So I have my rectangle 1 equals a document, and well, it doesn't equal document, sorry, it equals document.create element. So what is rectangle 1? After this line, what's rectangle 1? A div. Yeah, I think that's right. It's a div, okay? So if I say like, hey, console.log rectangle 1, run that. Yeah, it's a div element, okay? So it's just a piece of the page there. Now, does anyone see anything new on the page? Anyone see anything? Shake your head, nod your head, like yes or no? No. Chris shakes his head. See a few more people shaking their head. Let's see who we got. Chat here. So we don't have anything new. So how we take it from the JavaScript file and put it on the page? Well, we have this other method called append. So we still have our page variable, and that's basically just linked to, you know, our document, specifically this item on the document, which is the body. And we're gonna say, take that body and append rectangle 1. So let's give this a shot. Let's see what happens. Bam, I get a purple rectangle, okay? So why do I get a purple rectangle of that size? Where did that come from? Chris says CSS, Javier says CSS. Yeah, my CSS file, okay? So the CSS file has all my styles. And sure enough, it says in my CSS file, all divs should have a height of 100 pixels. All divs should have a width of 200 pixels. And the border should be 2 pixels, solid, and purple. So even if you're not used to the syntax here, you can see what it's doing. I think we can actually even, we can make it a different purple there. Make it like a green. Right. Yeah, we get green there. So, or you can just write a word. It's fine, just write a word. We can write green, make a green rectangle. We can write yellow. Boom. Okay. So easy enough, right? Does anyone have any other options I can use instead of solid to dress up my rectangle a little bit? Dotted. Let's try dotted. Woo. Okay. Cool. Dotted. Okay, cool. So we have our rectangle. What if we want the thicker border? We can say something crazy, 22 pixels. Yeah, that's fun, right? Nice, fun rectangle. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we can do all this stuff. I mean, I think I'm just going to go back to having 2 pixels. We'll go solid beige. Okay. And in REPL, it's kind of nice. In REPL, if you want to change the color, you can just type right here, and it will give you like, all the different colors you want. So I can say like dark cyan, whatever that looks like. Okay. Now let's go back to our JavaScript. So if we make more divs, we're going to have more rectangles with those styles. Okay. You've got a question, please just message Nicole. Okay. I'm gonna make another rectangle. Now, here's a trick question for you. I've just uncommented rectangle 2 equals document.createElementDiv. What's going to happen when I click run? Trick question. Alice says nothing. That's right, Alice. So, Alice, if you don't mind, let me unmute you. Why is that the case?
We created a new div, but there's nothing in it.
Yeah, there's nothing in it, and there's nothing that we haven't put on the page yet, right? Yeah, okay, that's right. So thanks, Alice. So let's, what are we gonna have to do to put on the page? Let's go a step further. Hey, you wanna jump in? I can get the mic to work again. Guys, we're just adjusting a little on the fly. Let's try what Alice says. We have to take our div further. So I'm going to uncomment line 46, and we're going to run that. Sure enough, we get 2 rectangles, okay? Here's a tricky one. What if I said rectangle 1 dot append rectangle 2? What would happen then? Throw a guess in the chat. What's going to happen if I say rectangle 1 append rectangle 2? You got any guesses in the chat?
Nothing new.
Nothing new. Let's give it a shot. It's something new. What happened there? What was the new thing? I think it looks a little different. Javier doesn't look convinced, but I think it's a little different. What's new there? So what happened was our border got thicker, right? Yeah, they merged.
Merged, yeah.
The 2 of them merged. So we have like that one rectangle kind of inside. They're kind of overlapping, right? You can kind of look at it. There's a funny corner in the top right, lower left. So they're overlapping a little bit. So I'm going to switch this back to page. Okay, cool. So speaking of cool, on line 48, I'm going to take rectangle 1, and I'm going to say rectangle 1 dot class list equals cool. So again, rectangle 1 is a div. So we're going to see what happens if I give the class list. The class list is going to be a string, which is cool. Okay. So run this up. I have 2 rectangles, but one of them is different. Why is that?
CSS.
CSS is right. Okay. So if we go over and look at our CSS, sure enough, there is a class called cool. You know it's a class if it's .cool, and that, when I highlight this, it even tells me, hey, any element with class cool is going to adopt this new background color. I always thought it was weird that color is the text and background color is like everything else, but that's the convention. So that's the rule, I should say. So I said my background color is going to be aqua. I really should have put a semicolon there. Bad form by me. We are going to make another rectangle here. So we're going to say, hey, rectangle 2 has classless warm, but we don't have a class called warm yet. So when I run this, nothing happens. What if I want to have more of a warm color here? What should I do? What do I need to do here?
So we got a couple answers here. Define a rule in CSS, add class warm in CSS, duplicate and change CSS.
Yeah, so what I mean by rule is it's not a matter of my opinion. It's that background color is always going to be the background and color is always going to be the text. So that's what I mean by a rule there. And I can totally copy this. Excuse me. Okay. I'm gonna try to talk to your computer and you could sort of see your mic, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I just struggled to set it up a little bit. Okay, so see, it's tough when I don't have her to help me set up things, guys. She's the one who knows how everything works. Okay, so I'm gonna say warm, and we're gonna switch that to let's make it something more like this. Okay. Okay, cool. So what happened there? What's how am I getting that color? I didn't write orange. I didn't write yellow. How did I get that crazy orange?
I asked them if they could hear you okay. It's just a double check.
No, that's good. That's good. How do we get that crazy orange, guys?
I'm glad it's loud, Chris. I'm glad.
Yeah, you can just hear it volume. Yeah. Okay, so the answer there is that this is RGB, which says, hey, the color should have this much red, this much green, this much blue. Okay, so in light, if you use a lot of red and a little bit of green on my color, it'll get you this orange. Versus I think in red and green in pigment will get you kind of more of a brown. So we end up with this orange right here. So next up, we want to create a new rectangle. So on your own, I want you to go ahead and make your own rectangle. And then we'll go over the answer in a second. So go ahead, alter this, make rectangle 3. And if that's easy for you, go ahead and use CSS to make that rectangle into a square.
Send that link out on the chat.
Yeah, see what I did, and I can send it.
I got it.
You got it? Okay, cool. Can we paste screenshots in the chat, or is it just text?
You can attach a file from your computer. So yeah, so they should be able to post screenshots. But if someone else would want to share the screen, we're also able to just let them share the screen.
Okay, so if you get your third rectangle going and you're ready to go, let us know and I'll unshare and we'll switch and you can share and show us your third rectangle.
Like Ray is joining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same in the big wall there. 20, that's good.
Good. Anyone feeling brave enough to share?
So Daniel smiled there. Looked like Chris was considering.
Daniel's
it.
ready. He said yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so Daniel, why don't you, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Okay. Daniel, you wanna share a screen?
I'm not sure I've shared mine. I haven't done screen share on this before.
Oh, you don't have screen share on there?
If he doesn't allow Zoom, he might have to close it up and then open it again. So in which case?
Oh, what you can do also, Daniel, is you can just put the link for your editor.
Yeah.
I think you should have changed that into the chat, and I can just navigate there. And
Yeah, we could do that too.
Yeah.
Sorry, having problems with my chat. It's not working.
No problem.
Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Chat. There we go. Right, here it comes. If it lets me.
Yeah, I've lost my chat. I'll get that back in chat.
For some reason, it's not letting me paste in the chat. I don't know why.
Not letting you paste the link in the chat.
No. Something's
Can
gone
you
weird.
send it to me privately? Will it let you do that? It might be a setting that I would have to change eventually or something.
Yeah, something's gone weird in my chat. I don't know what's going on. I've got the link, but it's just not letting me paste it.
Okay, so why don't you just walk me through it, Daniel? What should I do here?
Okay, so essentially what I've done is I've done the create element line from above and created it as rectangle 3 rather than 1 or 2. And then below that, I've created the class list for rectangle 3, and I've changed the name. I've put it to hot on this one with page append underneath for rectangle 3. And then in CSS class, I then copied the one for warm and changed it to hot. So then I've got a new different color with the third box. So I've now got blue, green, and red boxes.
Okay, so I'm calling my class box here. And then you said in your class list.
Yep, so then, sorry, page append first. So page.append,
Sure.
rectangle 3. Yep, below.
Sounds good. Rec 3 dot append. Oh, sorry, my bad.
Page.append, rectangle 3 I did.
And rec 3. Sounds good. And then
Yep.
we're going to go over to CSS.
Yeah.
All good. So I'll take my unique class name, dot box. And you said we're going to make.
So I made mine red, background color red.
Yeah. I think you can also just do background red here. Let's try that. Okay. Cool. So now, Daniel, what about making this thing a square? What do you think? How would we do that?
I suppose maybe you could do max width, maybe. But that might maybe affect the height as well, which might maintain the rectangle possibly.
Okay, let's try max width. Make it 100 pixels. And on that. Oh, pretty good. I think even if we just overwrite the width, it should be fine.
Okay.
So max width and width would both work there. And we get our square. So thanks, Daniel. That was good. That was really good. So we have our square here. So it overwrote. The more specific CSS will overwrite the more general CSS. So you can have two different like CSS rules here. It's written there saying, okay, all divs have to be 200 pixels wide. But we say that, hey, that div has this class. We're going to overwrite it. And boom, we get a square.
Trying to find your chat.
Cool.
I know I lost my chat somehow. You might have to just, what's that?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. But we'll get back to that. It's okay. So, oh, here it is. I have it over here.
Okay, good.
Okay, cool. So there's a chat. Okay, so let's go back and look at our next exercise. Okay, so we made our square. Now I want to add a new shape to the page. And we want to play with border, radius, height, and width to make a circle. So go ahead on your own, try add new shape to the page and mess with the CSS. First, just try add another rectangle if you haven't already, and then try to create a circle under our buddy, the red square.
And if anyone's feeling brave, they can try and share their screen again.
Yeah, we can try again, definitely.
Okay.
Can I have a sip of your kombucha?
Yeah.
Thanks. And thanks for attending the class, guys. Really appreciate it. We had some technical difficulties today. And towards the end of the class, we're going to have an announcement about the Bogota Bootcamp class coming up and a special offer doing that with that.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a volunteer ready. If you want to see my updated code, I'll just put it in the chat here. I'll just navigate there and see the updated version. I'm brave now.
What about Habib? Habib was with us last time. Do you have any code ready for us today?
I think you may have both unmuted and then he got muted again.
Oh, okay.
Unless he just disappeared. There you go.
No, he's unmuted.
Oh, okay.
No? Okay, so maybe you just take him through that. Oh, Chris says yeah.
Okay. Chris, Chris
for
and
it, Chris.
Javier, I see. Sorry, Javier. Chris, AC out there. I'm going to stop sharing. Chris, go ahead and share. Unmute.
Unmute myself. All right. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, and I see a beautiful square and a circle.
Yes. All right. So in JavaScript, I just created a new element here by assigning circle, document.create element div. I made a new div. Then I appended that to the page, and I assigned it the class circle. And then CSS, and I just assigned height and width that are the same, and then border radius 50%. And then set a border in a background.
Okay, cool. So there are a few things that are new here. One thing is the border radius. So that just means like, hey, what does the radius look like on the border? You know, do we do a radius like a circle, or do we do a sharp edge? So if you just put 20%, what would that look like, Chris? Can you show us that? There you go. That looks fun. So if you ever seen a rounded edge on a button or a form, that's where that's coming from. Okay. What if we said 20 pixels? Okay. But basically, in this case, it's about the same as 10%, right? Because 20 pixels compared to 200 pixels there. Okay, let's go back to, let's try 100% actually. Let's try 100% and see what that does. And basically, it's just the same as 50%. So you'll see some situations like that where someone uses a different piece of CSS to accomplish the same thing you're doing. Don't worry about it. There's lots of different ways to skin a cat, as they say, you know, in the US. Refers to catfish, don't worry, not real cats. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna combine these two things. I want you guys to go ahead, make a nice big rectangle, and then add some small rectangles and circles inside of that rectangle. Okay, give it a shot.
You want me to stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, stop sharing, go ahead.
They'll copy you. You want them to copy you.
If you're feeling stuck, like you don't know how we got to this point where you can suddenly make new shapes and change the CSS, then go ahead, send Nico a question and we can answer privately or publicly if you indicate, and we'll try to help you out.
Hey Meg, thanks for coming. I'm sending you the link right now.
That's the link to the first hour. Yeah.
Just figured I'd pop in a little early and see what's going on.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I'll send you the second hour link once we get closer.
Rufflet, nice.
So we're looking for a big rectangle with the squares and circles inside there. I'll just get my code up to date with what Chris was telling us. Circle, class list. Here, to circ. With okay, so if you go back to the link, you'll be updated code for that part. Okay. So Nico, do we have any volunteers yet to show us big rectangle with some smaller stuff inside?
None yet.
No
Oh,
volunteers.
Javier.
Javier, okay. Javier, I'm gonna stop sharing so you can take control there. Okay, Javier, why don't you share screen when you're ready and unmute?
Sure. And I'm gonna unmute him.
Okay.
Not sure if we're doing it at the same time.
I had him talk before, so he should be able to unmute.
Hi, can you hear me now? And can you see my screen?
Yes.
I think we had a button
I
pressing
think,
contest.
yeah, I think we were pressing the button at the same time.
Okay. So you
Okay,
can help with the call there. Yeah, Javier, why don't you take us through it? What did you do here?
So I created this big rectangle. I added it to the document, and then it created it. Then it appended it to the page, to the variable page.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it a CSS class of big, and then the circles, the circle and rectangle that we did for the previous exercise, I append them instead of the page. I changed page to a big rectangle, which is now the container for those two. And on CSS, I added up a width and a height. That's it.
Okay, cool. So that's your big one, and then you appended the small ones inside of that guy. Can you talk about that again a little bit? Go back to the JavaScript.
Yep. So so this is where the part for creating the big rectangle.
Mm-hmm.
The line 51. That's where you create it, but then it's created somewhere, but you haven't appended it anywhere. So, and because we have a variable that replaces document dot get element, well, yeah, the document. I replaced that for the variable page, and I appended that rectangle. And then line 53 is creating the CSS.
Okay, that looks good. So then that's the CSS there, and then you append to that big rectangle, it looks like on line 56 and 57.
Yeah.
So those are just different because you're saying instead of page.append, you're saying big rectangle.append, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, thanks, Javier. Any questions on that? Please text Nico if you have a question on that part. Okay, so I'm going to share a screen. We're going to take things a step further. So far we've just dealt with divs. And I'm going to take these extra rectangles right here. I'm going to comment, well, I'll leave this stuff up, but down here I'm going to make a new rectangle, very much like Javier did. We'll call this big, and we'll say that this equals document.create element div. And then we're going to say, hey, we're going to append it to the page and give it a class, big. Go over to my styles. I'll make like .big. And then inside .big, I'm going to say like height will be 500 pixels. Width be 300 pixels. Let's give that a shot. Big. Oh, I'm still appending circle. That's no good. You guys gotta tell me my mistakes here. Come on.
Are they even paying attention?
I don't know. Okay. See that? Try that again. Run. Okay, cool. I got a big rectangle here. Now, we've just been adding different shapes, but the internet has a lot of words on it too. So I'm going to say headline equals document dot create element h1. I'm going to say h1 dot inner text. So this is the same thing we did before with our first hi in hello world equals, you know, welcome to JavaScript. And then I'm going to say big dot append headline to add that headline in. Give it a shot. Oh, I said H1 there. I meant to say headline there. See that error message down at the right? Now helpful JavaScript console. They're totally right on this one. And there we go. So it's like my little page here. It says welcome to JS. So what I want you to do is create your own miniature page, the big rectangle, add a headline, add a paragraph, Maybe even add a little button, you know, so make a miniature web page with at least 3 different kinds of elements. If you need hints on different kinds of elements, I would say just put in the chat. I recommend H1 or a paragraph tag or a button. Go ahead and make your own miniature little mock web page. That will pretty much be the last exercise for today before we make our announcement and do the event and do the intermediate lesson.
Okay. I'm gonna send.
There's Oscar. I thought we lost him.
Yeah,
He answered one of the questions at the beginning.
that's good.
Okay, who's got a beautiful web page to show us?
Anyone want to show us anything? Javier, Daniel, Chris, Ray. Ray's like that.
We got, someone typed something. Javier says, okay. Okay, let me stop sharing. Go back to you, Javier. We'll let you unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm not going to touch the button. You do it.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
All right.
So, well, this is inside the rectangle that we created. I simply replaced the circle and the rectangle, and I added a button. It's all here. So I created a variable heading, and that is equal to document create element, and what's inside the parentheses is h1, which is the heading tag. And then the line 55 is the paragraph variable, which creates a p tag. And the next line is a button tag. Now the next 3 lines are appending those to the rectangle. I could have added them to the page, and then they would have gone to the very top. But I added them to the rectangle, which is the little page. And then I wanted to add the text to each one of those tags. So the heading tag has the my page text, and the inner text for the paragraph is this is my paragraph, and the button, the inner text is submit.
Okay, cool. That looks great. And you guys notice that you can either append or change your text first. The order doesn't matter in this case. So Javier, we have my page and this is my paragraph really close to that border. That's kind of not really great style there. What can we do to fix that?
Okay, so we could add
What if we go with CSS to change it? Let's go CSS.
CSS to that. So let's do.
Let's go to CSS file. Let's go style CSS.
Okay.
Oh, Daniel says padding. That sounds good.
Okay, yeah. So in big, yeah. Of 10 pixels.
And you'll see all those different options. You guys can use pixels. You can use centimeters. You can use percent. There we go. It looks nice.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I think that's all the time we have for the exercises in the class today. A couple of announcements. One, as always, take a look in the chat for the form to submit your feedback for these free classes. We really appreciate your feedback. Number two, we are going to be starting an online class on May 18th for 10 weeks, a full-time class, and that class has a free first week. So if you want to learn web development and you're not sure you can commit, you can do that first week for free. To reserve your spot, just email Nico. Nico, can you put your email in the chat? If you need more information about that, send Nico a message also with questions.
Yeah.
So those are two big announcements. Thank you for your assistance today. If you want to stick around for the advanced lesson, that's just going to start off in, I shouldn't say advanced, the intermediate lesson. Yeah, that's going to start in just 1 minute. We'll wait. I'll talk for a few minutes for people to kind of logged in. While we're doing that, I'm going to send out the link for that lesson in the chat. This one's going to be about creating your own Post-it notes page.